The moment Jae-hyun set her resignation letter on fire, Amara knew she'd made a terrible mistake. She'd spent 6 months cleaning blood out of this man's shirts, 6 months pretending she hadn't witnessed a murder, 6 months being the perfect invisible housekeeper. And now the penthouse door was locked, glowing red on the biometric panel. And he was crossing the room toward her with that snake tattoo visible above his collar, and a smile that didn't reach his dead, calm eyes. "You're a witness, Amara," he said softly, backing her against the wall. "And in my world, we don't let witnesses walk free. We eliminate them, or we keep them." What happens when your boss isn't just your employer, he's your owner? When the man you work for burns your resignation and locks you 40 floors above Seoul with nowhere to run? This is the story of how I went from housekeeper to hostage, from witness to weapon, and how the most dangerous prison I ever lived in wasn't made of walls. It was made of obsession. Hit subscribe right now because what he does to her phone in the next 60 seconds will show you just how far this man will go to own her. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I want to see how far this twisted story reaches across the globe. Amara didn't go to her new room that first night. She ran. Straight to the service elevator. The one the housekeeping staff used. The one that led to freedom. Her keycard didn't work. She tried it 3 times, hands shaking, before accepting what her gut already knew. He'd deactivated it. Of course he had. The main elevator then. The crystal one in the marble foyer. She pressed the call button. Nothing. Pressed it again. Harder. The panel didn't even light up. It won't work. Amara spun around. Jae-hyun stood in his office doorway, sleeves rolled up, that snake tattoo winding around his wrist like a brand of ownership. "The elevators are biometrically coded now," he said, tone conversational, like they were discussing the weather. "They only respond to my fingerprint between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. security measure. Let me out." "You are out. 30,000 square feet of luxury. Most people would be grateful." He pushed off the doorframe, moving toward her with predatory grace. "Most people aren't prisoners." Prisoners. Such a harsh term. He smiled. "I prefer protected asset." He was close enough now that she could smell his cologne, expensive, woodsy, suffocating. "The stairs," she said suddenly. "There have to be emergency stairs. 40th floor down to the lobby. Quite a trek." That smile again. "Of course, the stairwell door is biometrically sealed. Motion sensors, 24/7 surveillance." He tilted his head. "But please feel free to try. I'll wait." Something cracked inside her chest. "Why are you doing this?" "I told you why." "No. You told me I'm a witness." "Fine. Kill me then." Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Maybe darker. He stepped closer, crowding her space until she had to crane her neck to meet his eyes. "If I wanted you dead, you would have been dead 3 months ago. Bullet in your head, body in the Han River before sunrise." His voice went soft, almost tender. "But I didn't. You know why?" She couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. "Because you fascinate me. 6 months of scrubbing blood and asking no questions. 6 months of being the perfect invisible mouse. And then you saw me kill a man, and you still showed up the next morning. Made my coffee. Ironed my shirts. Pretended nothing changed." His hand came up. She flinched. But he only brushed his thumb across her cheek. "That survival instinct is rare. That control is valuable. So I decided to keep you." "I'm not a pet," she hissed. "No," he agreed. "You're much more interesting than a pet." He stepped back. "Your new room is the 3rd door on the left. Your belongings have been moved. Tomorrow we'll discuss your new responsibilities." Turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Amara? I'll need your phone." Her hand flew to her uniform pocket. Her phone. Heavy. Solid. Her last connection to the outside world. "No." He turned back, eyebrows raised. "No. It's mine. You can lock me in here. Control the elevators, but you can't have my phone." For a long moment, he just looked at her. Then he held out his hand, palm up. "Give me the phone, Amara." "No." He moved so fast she didn't have time to react. One moment he was 3 feet away, the next his hand was in her pocket, pulling out her phone. She grabbed for it, but he held it high above her head, effortlessly out of reach. "Give it back." "Who are you going to call?" His voice was maddeningly calm. "The police? I own half the force. Your friends? They'll tell you to quit, which we've established isn't an option. Your family?" He said the last word differently, like he knew something. Amara went still. Jae-hyun's smile was sharp as a blade. "Yes, I know. About your father. About his gambling problem. About the $200,000 he owes to some very dangerous people in Seoul. Did you really think it was coincidence that I hired you?" The floor tilted beneath her feet. "You see, Amara, you were never just a housekeeper. You were collateral. Your father sold you to pay off a fraction of his debt, and I bought you because you were worth more than the money." He dropped her phone on the marble floor. The screen shattered on impact. Before she could process what he'd done, he pulled a new phone from his pocket. Sleek, black, still in packaging. "This is yours now. Top of the line. Completely untraceable." He pressed it into her hands. "I've already programmed my number. It's the only number you'll need." Amara stared at the phone in her hands, then at the shattered remains of her old life scattered across the floor. "I hate you," she whispered. "I know," he said, almost sympathetic. "Get some rest. You look exhausted." This time when he walked away, she didn't try to stop him. The room was obscene. King-sized bed with Egyptian cotton sheets. Bathroom bigger than her old apartment. Walk-in closet filled with designer clothes she'd only seen in magazines. None of it was hers. All of it was a gilded cage. Amara sat on the edge of the bed and finally let herself cry. 3 days passed. 3 days of testing every exit. The windows didn't open. Safety feature. The service entrance needed a code she didn't have. Even the garbage chute was biometrically sealed. Every avenue led to the same conclusion. She was trapped. On the 4th day, Jae-hyun summoned her. The new phone buzzed. "My office. Now." When she arrived, he was standing by the window, hands in pockets, silhouetted against Seoul's skyline. "You wanted to know why?" he said without turning. "Why I'm keeping you. Why I didn't just kill you. You already told me. I'm a witness." "That's part of it." He turned to face her. "But there's more you need to understand." He moved to his desk, pressed something on his computer. A large screen descended from the ceiling. Security footage flickered to life. Amara recognized the hallway immediately. Outside Jae-hyun's private study. The timestamp, 2:47 a.m., 3 months ago. Her stomach dropped. On screen, she watched herself walk down that hallway, arms full of linens, humming something, looking so innocent, so oblivious. Then she passed the study. Door cracked open, sliver of light spilling out. She watched herself stop. Watched her past self freeze as voices carried from inside. Please, I can explain." "Explanations don't bring back stolen money, Director Chen." That was Jae-hyun's voice. Calm, almost bored. On screen, Amara leaned closer to the door. Just slightly, just enough to see inside. The camera angle caught what she'd seen that night. Jae-hyun standing over a man kneeling on the floor, gun pressed to the back of his head. Wait. The gunshot was muffled but unmistakable. On screen, Amara jerked back, pressing herself against the wall. Hand flew to her mouth to stifle a scream. She stood there, whole body shaking. Then she did something Amara had almost forgotten in the horror that followed. She looked directly at the security camera. Eyes wide with terror, tears streaming. But something else there too. Cold calculation. She'd seen the camera, knew she was being recorded, and she'd made a choice. She gathered her linens, wiped her eyes, and walked away. The footage ended. Amara couldn't breathe. "You knew," she whispered. "That whole time, you knew I saw." "Of course I knew. I have eyes everywhere in this building." Jae-hyun leaned against his desk, arms crossed. "What fascinated me was what you did next. You could have run screaming, could have called the police, could have quit and never looked back. I tried. 3 months later, yes. But not that night. That night, you went to the linen closet, put away your sheets, went home, and the next morning you showed up for work, made my coffee, asked me how I slept." He pushed off the desk, walking toward her. "You're a survivor, Amara. You assess threats, calculate odds, adapt. That night, you decided the safest play was to pretend you saw nothing, and you almost pulled it off. Then why tell me you know? Why not just let me leave?" "Because you're a loose end." His voice went cold. "In my world, loose ends get people killed. Director Chen was a loose end, embezzling from my operations, putting everyone at risk. I cut him loose. He was close enough to touch now. You're a loose end too. You witnessed a murder. In any other scenario, I'd put a bullet in your head and sleep soundly that night. But you didn't." "No," he agreed. "I didn't, because I decided you're worth more alive than dead. As long as you're here, under my control, you can't testify against me, can't run to the authorities, can't become a liability. So I'm insurance." "Your protection," he corrected. "My protection. And in return, I'll protect you." "From what?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. "From the consequences of what you saw. Director Chen wasn't working alone. His partners know someone witnessed his execution. They've been looking for that witness for 3 months. Ice flooded Amara's veins. "If you leave this penthouse, you'll be dead within the hour. They have people watching the building, waiting for you to surface. The only reason you're still breathing is because you're under my protection." "You're lying." "Am I?" He returned to his computer, pulled up another screen. This one showed the street below, 40 floors down. He zoomed in on a black sedan parked across from the building entrance. "That car has been there for 6 weeks. 2 men inside, rotating shifts. They're not my people." He zoomed in further. She could make out faces behind tinted windows, guns resting in laps. "They're waiting for you, Amara. The moment you step outside without me, they'll kill you. Not quickly, not mercifully. They'll take their time, make you tell them everything you know, and then they'll dispose of you." Amara's legs gave out. She sank into the nearest chair. "So you're not my captor," she said numbly. "You're my jailer and my bodyguard. I prefer to think of myself as your only option." He closed the screens, sat on the edge of his desk, studying her. "You belong to me now. Those are the terms. But I'm not unreasonable. You'll have everything you need. Luxury, safety, purpose." "Purpose?" "You'll be at my side, my companion, my—" he searched for the word. "Most valued possession." "I'm not a thing you can own. In this world, everyone is owned by someone. The only question is whether your owner treats you well." He stood. "I suggest you learn to accept your situation, Amara. Fighting it will only make you miserable." He walked to the door, then paused. "Oh, and Amara? Don't bother trying to contact your father. I've already paid off his debt. He sold you for $200,000. I paid him $500,000 for a 10-year contract on your services. He signed it yesterday." The door closed with a soft click. Amara sat alone, surrounded by screens showing her own terror, and finally understood the full scope of her prison. She stopped eating on the 5th day. If she couldn't control her freedom, she could control this. Her body, her choices. This one small rebellion. The maids brought elaborate meals, her favorite foods, comfort dishes, delicacies, all untouched. Jae-hyun said nothing. By the 9th day, Amara was weak, lightheaded. but there was strange clarity with the hunger, sharpness to everything. She'd moved past hunger into something else, something that felt almost like power. She was lying in bed staring at the ceiling when she heard the lock disengage. Jae-hyun walked in carrying a tray, soup, something rich and savory that made her empty stomach cramp. "You need to eat," he said simply, setting the tray on her nightstand. "No." "Amara." I said no. She turned her face to the wall. "You can lock me in here, control every aspect of my life, but you can't make me eat." She heard him sigh. Then the bed dipped as he sat beside her. "This is childish. This is all I have left." Silence. Then his hand on her shoulder, turning her to face him. She didn't have strength to resist. He looked different. The sharp edges of his control seemed softer, almost concerned. "You're going to hurt yourself." "Good." "No. Not good." His jaw tightened. "I didn't keep you alive just to watch you starve yourself to death." "Then let me go." "You know I can't do that." "Won't." "Can't." He picked up the bowl, testing its temperature. "If I let you go, you'll be dead before you reach the lobby. Is that what you want? To die just to spite me? At least it would be my choice." Something flickered in his eyes. Anger. Maybe hurt. "Eat," he said again, voice harder. "No." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he picked up the spoon, filled it with soup, brought it to her lips. "What are you? If you won't feed yourself, I'll feed you. I'm not a child." "Then stop acting like one." The spoon pressed against her closed lips. Open. "No." "Amara." His voice dropped to something dangerous. "You have two choices. You can open your mouth and eat this soup, or I can call my physician and have him install a feeding tube. Your choice." She glared at him. "You wouldn't." "Try me." No bluff in his eyes. "I told you before, you're not dying on my watch. If you want to be stubborn, fine. But I will keep you alive, whether you cooperate or not." They stared at each other, locked in a battle of wills. Amara's stomach cramped painfully, her head spun, and she realized with cold certainty that he meant every word. She opened her mouth. By the third week, Amara had explored every inch of her prison. Mapped guard rotations, tested locks, examined windows. All leading to the same conclusion: escape was impossible. Unless she got creative. The penthouse had a wraparound balcony, 40 floors up, but outside. There had to be a way to signal someone. She waited until 3 a.m. when Jae-hyun was locked in his study. Then she slipped onto the balcony. Seoul's skyline glittered like scattered diamonds. The air was cold, sharp, clearing her head. She could see other buildings, other lit windows, other people living free. There, across the way. Another high-rise, maybe 200 meters. Lights in windows, movement behind glass. Amara waved her arms, jumping, trying to make herself visible. Nothing. She tried again, more frantically. Someone had to see her. Someone had to. A light flicked on in one of the windows across the way. Yes. Yes. She waved harder, hoping whoever it was would see her distress. Call for help. Would. The figure in the window waved back. Amara's heart soared for exactly 2 seconds. Then the figure raised something to their shoulder. Something long and cylindrical. A rifle. The sniper waved again, cheerful and casual, like greeting a neighbor. Amara stumbled backward, blood ice cold. "I see you've met Park." She spun around. Jae-hyun stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame in shirt sleeves, utterly unsurprised. "He's one of my best marksmen, third-generation military. Could put a bullet through your eye from that distance without breaking a sweat." He walked onto the balcony, joining her at the railing. "I have 6 snipers positioned in surrounding buildings. They rotate shifts, maintain surveillance, ensure no one approaches this penthouse without my knowledge." He pointed to another building. "Kim is over there. Former Special Forces. Another direction. Lee is positioned there. Olympic biathlon medalist. Amara felt sick. You thought you could signal for help? Jae-hyun continued, tone almost sympathetic. That someone would see a woman on a balcony and think she's in danger. But everyone who can see you works for me. Every window, every rooftop, every sightline. I control it all. He turned to face her. This is my city, Amara, my kingdom. There is no help coming, no rescue. Only you and me and the choices you make within those parameters. Across the way, the sniper Park waved one more time, then his light went dark. Come inside, Jae-hyun said, voice softening slightly. It's cold out here. For the first time since this nightmare began, Amara felt something break inside her. Not her will, but her hope. She followed him inside without a word. The dinner party was announced with 2 days' notice. Wear the black dress, Jae-hyun told her over breakfast, the one with the high neck and the diamond earrings. I'm not going to a party with you. Yes, you are. He didn't look up from his newspaper. I'm hosting business associates. Tonight. You'll be at my side. As what? Your captive? Your property? As my companion. He folded the paper, looked at her. These are dangerous men, Amara. They respect power and prey on weakness. If they think you're unwilling, they'll see you as exploitable. A weapon they can use against me. Good. His eyes went cold. If they think they can take you from me, they'll try. And their methods of taking are far less civilized than mine. So you will sit beside me, you will smile, and you will make them believe you're exactly where you want to be. Understood? The steel in his voice left no room for argument. The night of the party, Amara found the black dress laid out on her bed. Beautiful, elegant, expensive. The neckline high, almost modest, but hugging every curve. The diamonds real, heavy and cold against her skin. She looked like someone who belonged in Jae-hyun's world. She hated it. When she emerged, Jae-hyun was waiting in the foyer. 3-piece suit in charcoal. Gray, hair-styled back, looking every inch the powerful CEO. His eyes traveled over her, something flickering in their depths. Perfect, he said simply. He offered his arm. She didn't take it. Amara. His voice held a warning. I can walk on my own. Not tonight, you can't. He took her hand, placed it on his arm, grip firm. Tonight, you're mine. Act like it. The dining room had been transformed. Crystal chandeliers, table set for 12. Guards at subtle intervals. Jae-hyun's people, armed and watchful. The guests arrived in pairs. Hard men with harder eyes, expensive suits that couldn't quite hide the violence underneath. They brought companions too. Beautiful women who smiled with their mouths and not their eyes. Amara recognized the dynamic immediately. Bought women, owned women, like her. Jae-hyun seated her to his right, hand possessive on the small of her back. The dinner began with pleasantries that felt like knife fights, business discussions that were nekwa, territorial negotiations, compliments that were threats. Amara stayed quiet, playing her role, until the man across from her started talking. He was older, maybe 50, silver at his temples, scar through his left eyebrow. He'd been introduced as Director Han, another business associate. Your companion is very beautiful, Director Han said, eyes sliding over Amara in a way that made her skin crawl. Where did you find her? She found me, Jae-hyun replied smoothly. Fate has a sense of humor. Indeed. Han smiled, didn't reach his eyes. And she's American, yes? I can hear it in her accent. Half, Amara said before she could stop herself. My mother was Korean. Ah, so you understand our culture then. How wonderful. He leaned forward. Tell me, dear, do you enjoy working for Director Kang? It was a trap. She could feel it. I enjoy being valued, she said carefully. Han laughed. Diplomatic. Very good. You've trained her well, Jae-hyun. Something flickered. Crossed Jae-hyun's face. Anger. Tightly controlled. The dinner continued. Courses came and went. Amara barely tasted any of it. Then, as dessert was being served, Director Han made his mistake. He reached across the table, hand landing on Amara's shoulder in what might have looked like a friendly gesture. But Amara felt the way his fingers dug in slightly. Possessive. Testing. You know, Han said, voice low enough only Amara and Jae-hyun could hear. If you ever tire of this arrangement, I could offer you... The steak knife slammed down so fast Amara didn't see it move. One moment Han's hand was on her shoulder. The next, it was pinned to the table, knife driven straight through his palm into the wood beneath. Han screamed. The room went silent. Jae-hyun hadn't moved from his seat. His expression was calm, almost bored. His hand still on the knife handle, pressing down to keep it embedded. Director Han? He said pleasantly. I don't share my food, or my possessions. Han's face was white with pain and rage. You can't... I just did. Jae-hyun twisted the knife slightly. Han screamed again. Now, you're going to remove your hand from my table. Well, I'll remove it for you, I suppose, and you're going to apologize to my companion for your disrespect. The knife twisted again. Wrong answer. Blood pooled on the white tablecloth. The other guests watched with detached interest of people who'd seen this show before. Finally, Han gasped out, I apologize. Good. Jae-hyun yanked the knife free. Han clutched his bleeding hand to his chest, staggering backward. His guards moved forward, but he waved them off, eyes burning with humiliation and rage. This isn't over, Kang. It is. Jae-hyun wiped the blood from the knife with his napkin, completely unconcerned. And if you ever touch what's mine again, I won't stop at your hand. Are we clear? Han didn't answer, just turned and stalked toward the door, his people following. The moment he was gone, the room released a collective breath. Jae-hyun turned to his remaining guests. My apologies for the interruption. Please, enjoy your dessert. And just like that, conversation resumed. Like nothing happened. Like there wasn't blood soaking into the tablecloth. Amara sat frozen, shoulders still warm from where Han had touched her, mind trying to process what she'd just witnessed. Jae-hyun leaned close, lips brushing her ear. Remember what I told you, he whispered. In this world, you belong to me, and I protect what's mine. His hand found hers under the table, fingers lacing together. It should have felt like a threat. Somehow, it felt like a promise. But Amara didn't know yet that Director Han's humiliation would cost them both everything, that the blood on the tablecloth was just the beginning. That in 3 days, she'd discover the devastating truth about why she'd really been hired. Because there's one thing I haven't told you yet. About that contract her father signed, and when Amara finds out, it will shatter everything she thought she knew about her value, her father, and whether she was ever anything more than merchandise. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see what's in that file. Comment trapped if you're still watching. Because what happens next will change everything. The file shouldn't have been there. Amara had been summoned to Jae-hyun's office to retrieve documents. A mundane task that felt almost normal after weeks of captivity. He'd stepped out to take a call, leaving her alone at his desk. That's when she saw it. A manila folder, slightly askew. Her name written across the tab in neat Korean characters. Bagamara. Park Amara. Her hands shook as she opened it. The first document was a contract, dense legal language in Korean and English. But certain phrases jumped out like brands. Transfer of debt obligation, collateral agreement, 10-year service contract. And at the bottom, 2 signatures. Kang Jae-hyun's precise, confident scrawl, and her father's shaky, desperate handwriting. The next page was a bank transfer receipt. $500,000, wired to an account in her father's name. Date, 3 weeks before she'd been hired. 3 weeks before she'd thought she'd landed a miracle job. She'd been sold, like livestock, like property. The documents swam before her eyes as tears blurred her vision. Background checks, medical records, even a psychological evaluation. Jae-hyun had researched her like an investment, assessed her value like a commodity. Find what you were looking for? Amara spun around. Jae-hyun stood in the doorway, phone in hand, expression unreadable. You bought me. Her voice came out raw, broken. My father sold me like I was furniture and you bought me. I paid his debt, yes. $500,000. She laughed, sounded hysterical. Is that what I'm worth? The going rate for a human being? Amara, don't. She held up a hand, rage flooding through her. Don't you dare try to explain this. Don't try to make it sound reasonable. She threw the folder at him. Papers scattered like broken dreams. I thought... Her voice cracked. I thought at least the job was real, that I'd earned it somehow, that someone had seen value in me. But it was all a lie. I was just a transaction, a debt payment. Jae-hyun set his phone down slowly. It started as a transaction, yes. Started? She laughed bitterly. What is it now? Romance. Love. Necessity. He stepped into the office, closing the door. Your father owed money to the Bam Bam crew. Vicious people. They would have killed him slowly to make an example. He came to me, begging for help. So you took his daughter instead? I offered him a choice. I would pay his debt if he agreed to a service contract. You would work for me for 10 years. He agreed before I even finished the sentence. Something inside Amara snapped. She crossed the distance in 3 strides and slapped him. The crack of her palm against his face echoed through the office. Jae-hyun's head turned slightly from impact, but he didn't step back. Didn't react beyond slight reddening of his cheek. Slowly, he turned to face her fully. Amara waited for retaliation, anger, violence. She'd struck a mafia boss. Men had died for less. Instead, he caught her wrist. His grip was firm but not painful. He raised her hand to his face, and for a terrifying moment she thought he might break her fingers. Then he kissed her palm. The gesture was so unexpected, so intimate, that Amara froze. He sold you for money, Jae-hyun said softly, lips still against her skin. 200,000 would have cleared his debt. I paid 500,000 because you're worth more than any amount of money could measure. That doesn't make it better. I know. He lowered her hand, but didn't release it. You want me to be the villain, the monster, who bought you and caged you, and maybe I am. But I'm the monster who values you, who sees you, who would burn this entire city down before I let anyone harm you. That's not love. That's obsession. Perhaps. His thumb traced circles on the inside of her wrist. But it's the only kind I know how to give. Amara jerked her hand away. I will never forgive you for this. I'm not asking for forgiveness. He bent down, gathering scattered papers. I'm asking for your survival. And that doesn't require your forgiveness. Only your cooperation. He placed the papers back in the folder, closed it, locked it in a drawer. Your father is alive and well, by the way. He moved to Busan, started a small restaurant, sends me quarterly updates as part of our agreement. He sold me and moved on. The words tasted like ash. He chose his life over yours, yes, but I chose your life over everything else. Remember that, Amara. When you hate me, when you curse my name, remember that I'm the one who stayed. He walked past her, pausing at the door. You're free to hate me, but you're mine regardless. That contract doesn't expire for 9.5 more years. The door closed with quiet finality. Amara sank into his chair, surrounded by evidence of her own worthlessness, and wondered if any part of her life had ever truly belonged to her. But she had no idea that in less than 12 hours, everything would change. That Director Han's rage would come back with 40 armed men. that she'd watch Jae-hyun bleed, that she'd have to choose between freedom and the man who'd caged her. The attack came on a Tuesday night. Amara was in her room when the first window exploded. Glass shattered inward with a sound like the end of the world. She threw herself to the floor, book tumbling from her hands. Then came the gunfire. Rapid bursts, close and terrifyingly loud, shouts in Korean, heavy thud of bodies hitting the floor. Amara crawled toward her bathroom, only thought to find cover, hide, survive. She didn't make it 3 feet before her door slammed open. Jae-hyun stood there, gun in hand, usually perfect hair disheveled. Blood on his shirt. She couldn't tell if it was his. "Stay down," he barked. "What's happening?" "They breached the perimeter." He was across the room in seconds, hauling her to her feet. "We need to move. Now." More gunfire erupted. Closer this time, his guards shouting, returning fire. Jae-hyun pushed her toward the door, body angled to shield her. They made it to the hallway before windows there exploded too. Bullets tore through air. One hit the wall inches from Amara's head, sending up spray of plaster. "Down!" Jae-hyun shoved her to the floor and covered her body with his. She felt his weight pressing her into expensive carpet. Felt his heart hammering against her back. Felt the exact moment a bullet grazed his shoulder, because his whole body went rigid. "Jae-hyun, I'm fine." His voice was strained. "Stay down. Don't move." The firefight raged around them. Amara couldn't see, could only hear chaos, gunshots, screaming, heavy crash of something hitting the floor. Then, abruptly, silence. Somehow worse than the noise. Jae-hyun lifted himself slightly, still keeping her covered. "Report," he called out. "Perimeter secure, sir." One of his guards, voice tight. "4 hostiles down, we lost 2 men. The rest?" "Retreated. For now." Jae-hyun exhaled slowly, then carefully climbed to his feet. He offered Amara his hand. She took it, legs shaking so badly she could barely stand. That's when she saw the blood. His white shirt soaked red at the shoulder, stain spreading. "You're hurt." "It's nothing." He was already moving, pulling her toward his office. "A graze. I've had worse." His office was untouched, protected by reinforced glass. He locked them inside, finally released her, moved to his desk to access security screens. "Who are they?" Amara asked. Her voice sounded distant. "Han's people. The man from the dinner party." Jae-hyun pulled up camera feeds showing aftermath. Bodies, broken glass, guards sweeping for threats. He decided to make his displeasure known. "Because of me." The realization hit like a physical blow. "Because you stabbed his hand over me. Because he's weak and stupid and thought he could challenge me." Jae-hyun pressed a hand to his shoulder, wincing. "You were just the excuse." But Amara saw the truth in the bodies on screen, in blood soaking his shirt, in the haunted look he thought he was hiding. She was the reason. People had died tonight because she was here, because Jae-hyun had claimed her, because she'd become a weakness his enemies could exploit. "This is going to happen again," she said quietly. "Isn't it? As long as I'm here, they'll keep coming." Jae-hyun turned from the screens. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked tired. Almost human. "Yes," he said simply. "Then let me go." "No. You almost died tonight." "I've almost died 100 times before." He reached out, cupping her face with his good hand. "Tonight was the first time I was afraid. Not for myself. For you." His thumb brushed across her cheek, and she realized she was crying. When those windows shattered, when those bullets started flying, all I could think was that they might hit you, that I might be too slow, that I might have to watch you die and be powerless to stop it. So let me leave. Let me be free of this. I can't. His forehead dropped to rest against hers. I know I should. I know keeping you here is selfish and dangerous and wrong, but I can't let you go, Amara. I won't. When she woke the next morning, everything had changed. Amara found Jae-hyun in the foyer, dressed in fresh suit despite bandage beneath his collar. He was placing something on the entrance table. An envelope. Thick and official-looking. "What's this?" she asked. He didn't look at her. "Plane ticket. First class to New York. Leaves in 4 hours." The world tilted. "What?" "There's also $50,000 cash. Enough to start over. More will be wired once you're settled." He finally turned to face her. Expression carefully blank, but his eyes hollow. "You're letting me go?" Amara couldn't process it. "Just like that?" "I had time to think last night, while the medic was stitching my shoulder." He gestured at bandage. "You were right. As long as you're here, you're a target. Eventually, they'll succeed. So this is about protecting me. This is about admitting I can't." His voice was flat. "I can't protect you and run my operations. Can't watch you every second. Can't guarantee your safety. Last night proved that." He picked up the envelope, held it out. "So you're free. The contract is void. Your father's debt is paid. No strings attached. You can walk out and never look back." The airport was exactly as she remembered. Crowded, impersonal, people rushing toward futures. Amara sat in first-class lounge, ticket burning a hole in her purse. Cash tucked in her bag, along with few possessions from the penthouse. She should have felt relieved, ecstatic, free. Instead, she felt hollow. Her flight boarded in 20 minutes. Passport, ticket. Future waiting in a city she used to call home. All she had to do was stand and walk to the gate. She couldn't move. The lounge television played news. Amara had been ignoring it until she heard his name. Breaking news in Seoul's financial district. Kang Jae-hyun, CEO of Kang Industries, reportedly under siege at his penthouse headquarters. Sources say rival gang factions launched a coordinated attack. Amara's head snapped up. Screen showed aerial footage of Jae-hyun's building. Police barricades, SWAT teams, smoke, dark smoke billowing from upper floors. At least 40 armed assailants breached security, police calling it gang warfare. No word on casualties, but sources say he's still inside. The envelope fell from her lap. He'd sent her away knowing this was coming. Pushed her out, given her freedom, sent her to safety because he knew he was about to die. Authorities advise avoid the area. Situation extremely dangerous. Amara was moving before she made a conscious decision. She grabbed her bag and ran. Behind her, the gate agent called her name, announcing final boarding for flight 2847 to New York. She didn't look back. Getting back was harder than anticipated. Streets blocked, police everywhere. Amara ditched the taxi 6 blocks away and ran. She had her key card, the one Jae-hyun gave her that first night, the one she'd kept as reminder of her prison. Now it might be her only way back in. Service entrance around back, the one maintenance used. The key card worked. Amara slipped inside into stairwell, started climbing. 40 floors had never seemed so far. By 20th floor, lungs burning. By 30th, legs like lead. She could hear gunfire above, muffled but unmistakable. She kept climbing. 38th floor, she nearly ran into one of Jae-hyun's guards, what was left of him. Slumped against wall, eyes staring at nothing. Amara pressed hand to mouth, kept moving. 40th floor was chaos. Bodies. Blood. Bullet casings like confetti. Beautiful penthouse destroyed, windows shattered, furniture overturned, art riddled with holes. And silence. Gunfire had stopped. Amara crept forward, heart in throat, following trail of blood to Jae-hyun's office. Door closed, locked from inside. "Jae-hyun?" she called. "Jae-hyun?" No answer. She pounded on door. "Jae-hyun, it's me. It's Amara. Open the door." Still nothing. Panic flooded through her. He was in there. He had to be. Unless they'd already. The lock disengaged with soft click. Amara shoved the door open. Jae-hyun sat behind his desk, exactly where she'd seen him 1,000 times. But wrong. All wrong. Blood soaked his shirt. Side, shoulder, arm. Gun on desk, empty magazine beside it. He looked up when she entered. Surprise in his eyes would have been comical in any other situation. "You missed your flight," he said weakly. Amara crossed to him. "You sent me away to die alone." "I sent you away to live." He coughed. Blood flecked his lips. "How did you get back?" "I ran." "Did you really think I'd just get on a plane and leave you?" "Yes." He caught her hand, grip weak but insistent. "You were supposed to be safe. That was the whole point." "The point was you being a martyr." She applied pressure to his wounds. He hissed in pain. "Where's your first aid kit?" "Bathroom, cabinet under sink." She ran, found military-grade kit, ran back. Jae-hyun had slumped forward, head on desk. "Don't you dare die on me," Amara ordered, pulling him upright. "You don't get to push me away and then give up." She worked methodically. Gauze, pressure, bandages tight enough to slow bleeding. "You came back," Jae-hyun whispered. "You were free. Why?" "You said I belonged to you," she said finally. "Well, you don't get to fire me. Those were the terms, remember?" Ghost of smile touched his lips. That contract was void. "Then I'm writing a new one." She stood, scanning his office. "Where do you keep the guns?" She found the arsenal, grabbed a handgun, checked magazine, turned back. "What are you doing?" "What does it look like?" She engaged electronic locks. Panel glowed red. "If they want you, they go through me first." She dragged chair beside his desk, angled to see door in him. "You should have left," he said quietly. "I was. Made it to the gate. Had my boarding pass. Then I saw the news." She met his eyes. "You said it yourself. I'm a survivor. And survivors don't abandon their people." He reached out, hand finding hers. Fingers cold, grip weak, but steady. "You're insane," he whispered. "Probably." She squeezed his hand. "I learned from the best." They sat in darkening. Office, Seoul sunset painting destroyed penthouse in orange and red. Amara kept gun trained on door. Jae-hyun's breathing labored but even. Somewhere in the building, sirens wailed. Police, finally breaking through. "If we survive this," Jae-hyun said after long silence, "remind me to increase your salary." "If we survive this," Amara countered, "remind me to renegotiate that contract. I want hazard pay." He laughed, turned into cough. "Deal," he managed. "Anything else?" She thought about it. About the resignation letter he'd burned, locks he'd engaged, freedom he'd tried to give her. "Just one thing," she said. "Next time you try to die for me, I'm going to be very annoyed." Noted. The door held. Police arrived. And in wreckage of his empire, surrounded by bodies of those who'd tried to tear them apart, Amara and Jae-hyun waited for dawn. She'd come to Seoul looking for a job. She'd found something far more dangerous. She'd found a reason to fight. So here's what. Nobody tells you about Stockholm Syndrome. Sometimes the cage becomes home not because you're broken, but because you finally found someone who sees you as priceless instead of worthless. Sometimes the monster is the only one who stayed when everyone else sold you out. But here's the question I'm leaving you with. Was Amara ever really a prisoner? Or was she the most dangerous player in this game all along? Hit that subscribe button because part 2 drops next week, and you're going to find out what happens when Amara stops being the asset and becomes the weapon. Comment mine if you're ready to see her evolution from Maid to Mafia Queen. And if you're wondering what really happened to Director Han after that dinner party, let's just say the steak knife to the hand was mercy compared to what Jae-hyun had planned. That story's coming in the next episode. Drop your location below. I want to see how far Seoul's most twisted love story has traveled. This is how you go. From housekeeper to hostage to heir. This is how you learn that some cages are made of obsession, and some obsessions are worth dying for. See you in part 2.